This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Once you're into the system, the bed is yours for the rest of the year if you want it. You just need to let us know before you leave. I'll be back tonight.
Tonight, support for shelters. Some surprise funding in Saanich has spurred on conversations in surrounding municipalities to enhance access to emergency shelters. Also tonight,
we need to be able to transport people, medications, all kinds of things.
Returning railway. Plans to revive a portion of the South Island's dormant train tracks is picking up momentum thanks to a little help from a retrofitted bus. Plus, Adam finds out how a Victoria senior's enduring passion for cars led to a trailblazing career. Later on the Sawatsky sign-off. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. A Saanich nonprofit has doubled its capacity to provide a warm place to sleep to people who are experiencing or at risk of homelessness. A warm place to sleep at night, and demand is already high. The Victoria Native Friendship Centre anticipates all of its new spots to fill up within the first 2 weeks. CTV's Yvonne Raymond has more.
More people who are experiencing or at risk of homelessness are being welcomed for a night's rest inside a Saanich nonprofit's gym through the year's colder months.
It will have a positive impact in those lives. It is not a huge dent into the crisis in the region. It is a very small amount of work, but it sort of speaks to the enormity of the problem that we're being presented with and the creative solutions that have to be created around it.
The Victoria Native Friendship Centre figures 25 new temporary shelter beds will be full within its first 2 weeks of expansion. Each guest, aged 19 or over, is offered room to shower, a chance to do laundry and food during their stay overnight. We're looking for people who have some control if they are using substances, where they can abstain for the night. We don't want anyone using on site. So it is a higher barrier shelter. We can't accept pets or service animals because of the open nature of the room. We can't accept large quantities of belongings. Once you're into the system, the bed is yours for the rest of the year if you want it. You just need to let us know before you leave. I'll be back tonight. BC Housing is providing the funding, saying it hopes it will help alleviate pressure from services in Victoria.
It's going to help with extreme weather response this winter, so those very cold nights when people need to get inside, when there's a risk of dying of exposure. But in terms of taking the pressure off of Victoria for the bigger issues that we're facing, particularly downtown, not a chance.
The capital city's council has been outspoken, calling on other communities to do what they can to help bring people inside.
I wish that they had been permanent, because we're going to be back here next year advocating for the exact same thing.
The Friendship Centre's new sheltering option ends April 30th, and its leader echoes the calls for more in the face of some success.
If everyone just did a little bit more, we could really start to see some progress in this space.
Yvonne Raymond, CTV News, Saanich.
The dream of using Vancouver Island's old network of railway tracks for hauling commuters again is gaining steam, but maybe not in the way that you might think. As CTV's Andy Garland shows us, it's all about the wheels on the bus making the rounds.
Rail could be making a comeback on Vancouver Island in the form of a rail bus.
We've been having conversations with people about, would you be interested in riding on this in the future?
The rail bus was testing out the tracks in Port Alberni today.
It's so much simpler to operate, so much simpler to maintain the trackage, to get things open on the island corridor that we couldn't necessarily.
With some vegetation cleanup along sections of the track, the island corridor says the rail bus can essentially roll down the tracks anywhere on Vancouver Island.
It's a very common maintenance of way technology, but it's quite innovative to bring it for potential passenger service, which is what they do in Lillooet.
The rail bus has been loaned to the Island Corridor Foundation from Lillooet, who use it for many different purposes.
For doctor's appointment, for kids getting to high school.
The idea of using a rail bus system recently piqued the interest of several mayors in the capital region to alleviate traffic congestion.
There's real enthusiasm and momentum growing for mass transportation in the CRD.
Now is the time to figure out how do we use the corridor.
In the Alberni Valley, they see opportunities in tourism as well as using the rail bus for an alternative route, especially when main roads have been shut down due to wildfires the past couple of years.
There was no way in and out except for a long logging road, which is not in great condition. We need to be able to transport people, medications, all kinds of things.
The rail bus will be here for another week, touring other parts of the island. Andy Garland, CTV News, Port Alberni.
The British Columbia General Employees Union is ramping up its job action as new picket lines pop up across the province. BCGEU President Paul Finch spoke on the strike's front lines in Surrey today, where he set out the union's next phase of job action. The 5th consecutive day of strikes saw protests escalate across BC, with 14 new picket line locations announced across 10 new communities, including Kamloops and Nanaimo. Here in the capital region, 2 new sites will be joining the picket, bringing the area's total to 11. Job action from the 34,000-member union has already shut down ICBC and government services in Surrey, Victoria, and Prince George.
The goal is simple here. We want government to come back to the table with a wage offer that meets the needs of our membership, that meets the needs of working people in BC, and we're going to keep escalating until we do that. At this time, we've prioritized not impacting the general public. We've prioritized impacting core government services. After a while, if government does not come to the table, that will change.
With more than 1,000 workers set to join the job action tomorrow morning, the union remains firm in its request for an 8.25% wage increase over 2 years, with adjustments for cost of living. The NDP says it is looking for a fair deal at the table for the province, workers, and taxpayers. The body of a teen who drowned in Thetis Lake last Thursday has been recovered. RCMP say search and rescue teams recovered the young man's body Sunday afternoon. The recovery concludes a 2-day search in Upper Thetis Lake, where a 19-year-old had reportedly gone underwater and failed to resurface. With the help of the View Royal Fire Department and park rangers from the CRD, divers were able to bring him to the surface for his family. As the Mount Underwood wildfire continues to be held at just over 3,500 hectares, evacuation orders in the area are now being amended. Officials from the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District, in coordination with the BC Wildfire Service, are rescinding the evacuation alerts and decreasing the size of the evacuation order that was originally issued August 20th. Alerts previously affecting the Headquarter Bay Recreation Community and the China Creek Campground have now been lifted. For information regarding temporary closures and alerts, that can be found online at the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District website. DFO's Marine Mammal Rescue Squad freed a humpback whale on the weekend from a mass of prawn fishing gear it had become entangled in. The massive whale was spotted off the shores of Texada Island last Thursday. Crews from Campbell River were quickly dispatched to find the 5-year-old humpback named Tutu and managed to attach a satellite tracking device to it. Now, over the next 2 days, crews followed the whale while slowly cutting away the entangled lines. When DFO returned Saturday morning to check in, Tutu was gone, slipping out of the remaining gear and leaving the tracking device in a bed of kelp. The team says if it hadn't removed the more than 150 meters of gear from the whale, he certainly would have died.
It impacts their ability to forage, and also they get, this animal was definitely had abrasions on its fluke and its kind of peduncle area on the back. So it doesn't, this rope is pretty nasty, this polysteel, so it caused abrasions and injuries, and you can get those infections. Just seeing the last bit of gear, because we knew exactly what was left, and seeing it all there in the kelp bed and the animal off free is unbelievable.
DFO says it's been a busy summer for marine mammal rescues, with the team averaging 2 disentanglements per week. Last week was especially busy, with 4 whales freed from fishing gear. Well, our friends over at Virgin Radio Victoria are calling on all BC-based brainiacs to join them for an evening of trivia in support of Canadian cancer research. Johnny and Bailey from our Virgin Radio sister station will be hosting a trivia night this Thursday at Herald Street Brewworks to raise funds for Tour de Rock and the Canadian Cancer Society. The entry fee is $10. Participants will have the chance to test their knowledge on a variety of subjects and enjoy some local drinks and food, all while contributing to a worthwhile cause.
We've both rode in Tour de Rock the last 2 years, and we want to keep it going. Tour de Rock, it's all about the children, so we're doing our parts.
Being a trainer, I want to support the team. Obviously, going through it, I understand what a sacrifice it is to be a part of Tour de Rock. Fundraising is not easy, so if we can support them and help raise funds for this great cause, it's just a pleasure to be involved.
With limited seating available, trivia teams of 4 to 6 people are encouraged to book their tickets ahead of time online at 1073virginradio.ca. Still to come, how Ottawa's latest measures to combat Trump's tariffs measure up.
$80 million of that funding will be dedicated to businesses.
The feds cough up $80 million in assistance for hard-hit businesses. What's included? Well, that's just ahead.
A little bit of a warm-up from the weekend. We got to 22 for a daytime high today after being stuck in the mid to upper teens Saturday, Sunday. We're currently at 21 and should stay right around 20 for daytime highs for most of this week. Those details after the break.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
West Shore Youth, looking for a fun spot to hang out? Youth nights are here. Skating, art, swims, and a place to chill. Staff-led and supervised for a safe, inclusive vibe. Check out wspr.ca for more info.
Well, we are starting off the week, Josh, with a bit of a warm-up here.
Yeah, a little bit of sunshine through the day today and up to 22 for a daytime high after being stuck in the mid to upper teens for daytime highs through the course of the weekend. I think we'll see temperatures pretty close to what we had today for the next couple of days. A little cooler here further to the north, Port Hardy. You've got some cloud cover and 14 degrees. It's 24 in Nanaimo. You can see that system that's been depositing some showers in parts of the north, otherwhere just elsewhere. Or otherwise, just some cloudy skies. Those showers will fizzle out for most areas through this evening and overnight. Tonight, doesn't look like we'll see all that much in the way of cloud cover in and around Victoria and Nanaimo. Mainly sunny to partly cloudy skies through the course of the day tomorrow. And even through the back end of this week, it was looking like, when we last talked on Friday, it looked like the end of this week we might see some rain. For parts of the island, that will be the case. And I'm not convinced we get all that much rain in Victoria, Nanaimo, and Comox areas. In the north, 18 degrees tomorrow, pretty close to average, but windy. Gusts will be in the 50-kilometer-per-hour range. You do have some fog patches that'll burn off midday. You'll see some sunny breaks in the afternoon, and then the fog returns for Wednesday. And it might actually stick around for most of the day Wednesday. Then you get some showers turning to rain for Thursday and through the day Friday. Inland areas, chances of some scattered late day showers tomorrow. Otherwise, and for most areas, it'll just be partly cloudy skies. Mid-20s. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Saturday, looking at a chance of showers for those areas. Out on the west coast, Friday, Saturday look fairly wet. Next couple of days, just more cloudy than anything else. Maybe a little bit of patchy drizzle on Wednesday. In Comox, partly cloudy, 23 tomorrow. Sunshine for Wednesday. Sunny for most of the day Thursday as well. And then late in the day Thursday, we'll see some cloud cover increase. And at this point, it's just a 30% chance of some scattered showers Friday, although temperatures will drop by Friday, Saturday. We'll be in the low to mid-20s here for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Average high, as you can see, is 20, so several degrees above average until we get to Friday and Saturday. Same goes for Nanaimo, low to mid-20s for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Partly cloudy tomorrow, sunshine Wednesday, and then sunny with some late day cloud on Thursday. Watch for that increase in cloud Friday into Saturday. Again, really doesn't look like much of a chance for precipitation late in the week, and that's the case in Victoria as well. Yes, we'll see some increase in cloud cover late in the week and into the coming weekend, but not much in the way, if anything, in the way of precipitation for the next couple of days. Tomorrow, sunny with a few clouds, light wind. We'll get to about 21, maybe 22 for a daytime high. Sunshine on the way for Wednesday, and again, about 21 or 22, so just slightly warmer than the average high of 20 for this time of year. CTV weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So not hot, but you're right, a little bit of a warm-up for the start of the week.
All right, thanks, Josh. Well, the Prime Minister, joined by his Fisheries Minister and the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, rolled out federal assistance for industries hardest hit by Donald Trump's punishing tariffs. CTV's Mike LeCouture has more from Ottawa.
Today we got some details about the billions of dollars worth of help provided for industries affected by tariffs in this months-long trade war.
$80 million of that funding will be dedicated to businesses right here in Atlantic Canada.
That money is being put aside for small and medium-sized businesses in the region and will be shared between the 4 provinces.
What we're allocating here is bigger than the relative share of population, the relative share of GDP of the overall Canadian economy, allocating that way.
It's part of a $1 billion fund to help those businesses affected by the tariffs. But some advocates point out businesses are still trying to repay pandemic loans, and they'd like to see relief in another form.
Perhaps a measure to actually eliminate all corporate income taxes on small firms until such time as we're on the other side of the trade war.
Ultimately, aluminum is a commodity.
In Montreal, Industry Minister Mélanie Joly sketched out some details around the sectoral help.
Quebec aluminum sector will get its fair share, and we believe that with the projects that are being discussed right now with Alcoa, with Rio Tinto, and with Alouette, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Both the financial aid and focus on using local aluminum for public procurement projects is being applauded by the industry, but it won't replace what's being lost in the trade war.
We can't just easily transfer what was sold in the US just here in Canada. The market size is smaller.
Minister Joly says the government is doing a full court press in negotiations with the U.S., adding the clerk of the Privy Council, Michael Sabia, was in Washington last week. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Doctors, nurses, and First Nations leaders gathered in Vancouver today to sound the alarm on the health risks posed by BC's fossil fuel industry.
We collectively and urgently call on the BC government to first and foremost fund a comprehensive independent health impact assessment of LNG and fracking in BC and pause all new fracking and LNG development until it is completed.
The group outlined 7 actions it wants BC to take to address their concerns. They're responding to recent legislation known as Bills 14 and 15 that allows the province to fast-track LNG projects, among others. The group argues these projects are driving climate change, harming Indigenous communities, and straining the healthcare system. Coming up, what Mimi made. Adam finds out why this Victoria senior's search for a car in a parking lot is proving so meaningful. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
I'm Al Farabee. It's the Great Grocery Giveaway. ATs, how would you like to win a $2,000 smile card from Thrifty Foods? Today's code word is soup. Text the code word to 71010 for your chance to win.
Finally, Adam finds out how a Victoria woman's enduring passion for cars led to a trailblazing career on this Encore Sawatsky Sign-Off.
To appreciate why Mimi Vandermolen is on the hunt for one particular vehicle,
still interested to see what they're doing.
You need to know that seeing this many cars would have been unimaginable when she was growing up in the post-war Netherlands.
And I think that only increased my interest. because there were so few.
Young Mimi relished getting dinky toys for her birthday before spending her allowance on car magazines.
Definitely the design was my first love.
After moving to Canada, Mimi studied industrial design in college, the only woman in a class of 28 men, before becoming one of the first female automotive designers at Ford.
The first thing one of the designers said, okay, you're the woman, go and get the coffee and the donuts. And I looked at him and said, no.
Mimi says she encountered two camps of men, guys who resented her and dads who appreciated the potential of her.
Who thought this was just so neat. Maybe their kids or girls could do something like this.
And what Mimi ended up doing was working harder than her colleagues and earning the respect of her team before rising up the ranks to design a new car that was a $4 billion bet for the company.
But a lot of people were very nervous.
Critics wanted it to be more conventionally square, but Mimi and her team fought to keep their softer look, and the execs ended up agreeing.
It was exciting to be there.
Now a North American car with the shape and the feel we've never seen before. Taurus.
The Ford Taurus became a bestseller, a design trendsetter, and named Car of the Year by the magazine Mimi used to read as a girl.
When you can stand there and watch a plant spitting out hundreds of thousands of your car, that's pretty darn exciting.
And while Mimi is always pleased to spot a Taurus in the wild,
I worked on that. I was part of that team.
She'll always be grateful that this car-loving girl had the perseverance and talent to grow up and become a global trailblazer.
Don't just accept the normal stuff everybody throws at you. If it's really what you love, keep going. Keep doing what you're doing.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
That is it for CTV News Vancouver Island. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night. Today on CTV News, the trial begins for the man charged with stabbing 3 people at the 2023 Chinatown Festival while on an unescorted day pass from a psychiatric hospital. Also tonight.
We have now secured 17 charges against 5 individuals.
Charges laid in the case of a convicted murderer who escaped from jail in an elaborate scheme. But where in the world is Rabi Al-Khalil? And how a very determined bear in Poco wasn't going to let a fence stand in the way of a delicious snack.
This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The man accused of stabbing 3 people at a Chinatown festival 2 years ago is now on trial. Blair Donnelly is charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault. And while he admits to the crime, he has pleaded not guilty. CTV's Penny Daflos has the details from BC Supreme Court.
This was day 1 of the trial for Blair Donnelly, who sat quietly as he heard both the Crown and defense lawyers agree that he did stab those 3 people. However, Donnelly pleaded not guilty, and his lawyer will argue that he is not criminally responsible. You'll remember it was the Light Up Chinatown Festival in 2023 where 3 people were stabbed by the main stage. Vancouver police arrested a suspect a short time later. We would learn that Donnelly was on a day pass from the Colony Farm Psychiatric Facility, which enraged the public and political leaders, leading to a review that found he'd been on 99 unescorted leaves without incident before the triple stabbing. Donnelly has been a resident of the psychiatric hospital since killing his daughter in 2006. He was found not criminally responsible after suffering psychotic delusions that God told him that he wanted him to kill her. Donnelly held a Bible and appeared to be taking notes at various points in the proceedings. This trial is being heard by a judge alone and could wrap up as early as next week. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Charges have been laid in connection to a notorious 2022 prison break that saw an accused murderer escape from North Fraser Pretrial Centre in Port Coquitlam. RCMP say that investigation led to other charges, including attempted murder. CTV's Shannon Patterson reports all this comes as police won't confirm Rabi Al-Khalil has been arrested overseas.
These two men, who allegedly posed as contractors to help accused murderer Rabi Al-Khalil escape from North Fraser Pretrial Centre in Port Coquitlam in July 2022, have been arrested and charged, along with a third man, with conspiracy to commit prison breach and prison breach.
Those individuals are Edward Ayoub, 48, of Ottawa, John Potvin, 49, of Ottawa, and Ryan Van Gool, 46, of Harrison Hot Springs.
During that investigation, police gathered further information that resulted in the prevention of a murder in Kamloops. As well, we were able to lay charges in a shooting in Maple Ridge.
RCMP also addressed media reports that Al-Khalil himself has been arrested in Qatar.
We have channels and systems in place when people have left the country and they are wanted. But in this case, we cannot confirm with you today that he has been arrested.
John Potvin, one of the men charged with helping Al-Khalil escape, is still at large. And RCMP say so is the man he allegedly broke out of prison.
At this point, Rabi Al-Khalil remains at large. So if anyone with information about Rabi Al-Khalil, we invite them to come forward and contact their local police agency. At this point, there is still a Canada-wide warrant and a red notice out for Rabi Al-Khalil. That has not changed.
You have to understand that Mr. Al-Khalil belongs to an organization that is known for its transnational reach. He could be in Canada, he could be anywhere else in part of the world.
A month after the escape, Al-Khalil was convicted in absentia of first-degree murder in connection with a deadly 2012 gang shooting at the Wall Centre in downtown Vancouver. As for how he could possibly have been able to walk away,
I think that's a question for our counterparts with corrections, because that part we do not control.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
One of BC's largest public sector unions is ramping up job action. Hundreds more members of the BC General Employees Union will join picket lines starting tomorrow. CTV's Rob Buffum has details.
Strike action by government workers is escalating. BCGEU announcing it will expand its picket lines to an additional 14 locations and 10 new communities across the province.
Whether that's Nelson, Williams Lake, Kamloops, Smithers, Fort St. John, all across the province, you're going to see picket lines come up as over 1,000 more BCGEU members join their colleagues.
For nearly a week, the union has been picketing 9 sites in Victoria, Surrey, and Prince George, holding out for higher wages.
We're keen for a deal that's fair to workers, that recognizes the hard work done by government employees right across the province, making life better for British Columbians, and is also fair to taxpayers, recognizing the fiscal headwinds that the province is facing.
2 of the new locations for Tuesday will be here in Victoria, including outside this financial services building that is just up the block from where there are currently picketers in front of the museum and across the street from the legislature. The union says their chosen spots will continue to have minimal impact on the public, at least for now.
After a while, if government does not come to the table, that will change.
There has been speculation the strike will eventually grow to include liquor distribution branches like it did in the last BCGEU strike in 2022, something the restaurant industry is bracing for.
If this was going on for more than 3 days, you'll start to see out of stocks in restaurants, absolutely for sure.
The Professional Employees Union has already joined BCGEU in striking, and public sector employees from another union, Move Up, representing workers at ICBC, BC Hydro, BC Transit, and Cap College, say they will join the picket line soon if there's not a good offer.
BC's labor movement is united and in the belief that public sector workers deserve better.
Rob joins us now from Victoria. Rob, how far apart are the two sides in their negotiations?
Well, Nafisa, the union's asking for 8.25% in wage increases over the next 2 years. The province is countered with what they say is a 4.5% wage increase over those years on average. So they're still a ways apart. And of course, there's other unions like the teachers union, the nurses union, very carefully watching these negotiations because they'll expect their deal to be matched with a Me Too clause. So expect picketers like those behind me at the Royal BC Museum to be here for some time. Nafisa.
Our Legislative Bureau Chief live for us tonight. Thank you, Rob. Well, school may be in full swing and summer vacation in the rearview mirror, but fire season is here to stay, at least for the next little bit. In an update this afternoon from the provincial government, people are being urged to stay vigilant. With more than 100 fires still active within the province and fires such as the Mine Creek wildfire still out of control, the forest minister says fire season is far from over.
With recent above seasonal temperatures and continued lightning throughout the province, we still have more work to do. This is the new normal, longer and more intense wildfire seasons.
Environment Canada has issued a weather alert for severe thunderstorms in some places. It says despite receiving some rainfall, it's still not enough to combat the extended period of dry conditions, heightening the risk of lightning-induced fires. Still ahead, how a hungry bear made quick work of someone's fence in Poco. And later, the pink Barbie Jeep that was pulled over in Prince George. The story behind this bizarre roadside sight a little later on CTV News at 5. Passengers on board a WestJet flight from Toronto were jolted when their plane made a hard landing in the Caribbean St. Martin Sunday afternoon. Video shows smoke billowing from the plane. Officials say no injuries were reported, but 3 of the 164 people on board were taken for medical evaluation as a precaution. Canada's Transportation Safety Board is investigating. Vancouver's mayor and the police chief say their tough-on-crime approach will continue on the downtown east side as a controversial task force winds down. They say they plan on maintaining the work to target violence and organized crime. But as CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, some are questioning whether the numbers make sense.
The city's top brass lined up Monday to tout how a task force aimed at tackling public safety in the downtown east side is paying off.
The downtown east side is safer today than it was months ago, and that's because of Task Force Barrage.
Violent crime in the downtown east side and across the city is down significantly. As of today, our numbers are the same as they were in 2002.
Crime was already declining in the city prior to the formation of the task force in February.
I think they've conflated some of the data points. We know that crime's been trending down citywide, and unfortunately when they give this sort of data as a percentage, it doesn't really indicate what the real change is.
The $5 million initiative was launched to target crime and street disorder. One advocacy group says policing isn't the answer.
They're going to try and police their way out of all the problems down here, like housing and different things like that. It's not going to happen.
6 months in, the plan is to continue the work as Barrage transitions into something new, a VPD-led team to provide more oversight in the neighborhood.
We will move towards making the downtown east side its own geographical policing district, District 5. This will be a historical change.
A pilot project called Van Stat will also be rolled out.
It brings VPD's weekly computer statistic reporting together with monthly cross-department performance review meetings.
Moving into this more holistic approach is something we've been asking for many months, many years.
Barrage has faced controversy, allegations of arrest quotas, and the mayor's failure to get the funding approved by an oversight body.
I have briefed the Vancouver Police Board on the results from Task Force Barrage and our plans moving forward.
As for the cost, the VPD says it's working on it, despite the city being only months away from finalizing next year's budget. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Police are investigating after shots were fired at a parked vehicle in Surrey. Police were called to a home near 124th Street and 58th Avenue around 4 a.m. No one was hurt. Investigators are still working to determine the motive behind the shooting and have not yet ruled out the possibility that it's extortion. Doctors, nurses, and First Nations leaders gathered in Vancouver today to sound the alarm on the health risks posed by BC's fossil fuel industry.
We collectively and urgently call on the BC government to first and foremost fund a comprehensive independent health impact assessment of LNG and fracking in BC and pause all new fracking and LNG development until it is completed.
The group outlined 7 actions it wants BC to take to address their concerns. They're responding to recent legislation known as Bills 14 and 15. They allow the province to fast-track LNG projects, amongst others. The group argues these projects are driving climate change, harming Indigenous communities, and straining the healthcare system. After the break, why Mounties in Prince George pulled over a man who was behind the wheel of a Barbie Jeep. Plus, delicate operation, how rescuers freed a gentle giant of the sea that was tangled up in fishing gear in BC waters. Plus, Sam's forecast is next. We'll be right back. A bear was spotted in Port Coquitlam pulling someone's fence apart. The brazen daytime break-in was caught on camera. Understandably, whoever recorded this didn't want to confront the suspect. The Conservation Officer's Service confirms it received a number of complaints about this fence-breaking bear, but deemed it wasn't a public safety risk. Well, it appears one driver in Prince George really toyed with traffic laws after being spotted behind the wheel of a child-sized pink Barbie Jeep. RCMP say the plastic vehicle pulled into traffic during the busy morning commute Friday. The joyride ended with the driver being arrested. His license had already been suspended, and he failed 2 breathalyzer tests. He was also handed a 90-day driving prohibition, and maybe he was coming back from a hard night partying at the Pink Pony Club.
Yes, definitely, or at the Domojo Dojo, Casa Dojo. But how did he even drive that? That is pretty hilarious. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. We are dealing with special air quality statements, and they are in place for the northeast corner of the province, stretching all the way down to the southeast corner. Central interior also included in that, and that will continue for the next 24 to 48 hours because of the wildfire smoke. Also dealing with a severe thunderstorm watch in place for the Thompson Okanagan through this evening, so a chance of heavy rain as well as, oh dear, this is what happens when I come back from holidays. Things mix up for technical problems. Obviously, I don't have the provincial forecast. There we go. For the southern interior, we're looking at a chance of afternoon thunder showers from Kamloops right down to Surrey. Temperatures between 25 and 26. That's what you can expect for Revelstoke, Nelson, and Cranbrook. For the central interior, chance of active weather for Quesnel and Williams Lake. Other than that, along the coast and Prince George, you're looking at temperatures between 22 and 23 under a mix of sun and cloud. Same story for the northern half of the province, with the exception of Fort St. John, 22 with the chance of afternoon thunder showers. Lots of sunshine for Smithers with a high of 22 as well. Early morning drizzle for Port Hardy, clearing up with a high of 18 degrees. You'll see 23s under a mix of sun and cloud for Campbell River and Comox, and mostly cloudy skies for Tofino. A few clouds from Port Alberni right down to Victoria, with temperatures between 20 and 24 degrees. For the Sunshine Coast, you'll see 20 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. A chance of afternoon thunder showers up the Sea to Sky Highway for Whistler, and for us across the Lower Mainland, we will start off cloudy. It does clear up quite nicely through the afternoon with a high of 21. A few clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. On Friday, it does cloud over with a few breaks in there. Expect to see some showers through the afternoon on Saturday. Dries up on Sunday, and then Monday, we're back to sunshine and a few clouds and a high of 20 degrees. Overnight lows still in the mid-teen mark, so still pretty balmy.
You know, with the clicker not working, you should just go back on vacation and protest.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. So I'm glad you approve.
Yeah, I'm not a manager, but I approve.
I'll see you never.
Okay, bye. Well, it took 3 days and multiple crews to free a humpback whale tangled up in fishing gear off the coast of northern Vancouver Island. The rescue began Thursday when Tutu, the 5-year-old whale, was spotted near Texada Island, caught in more than 150 meters of prawning gear. Now, fishery officers from Campbell River managed to find the whale and attach a satellite tracking device to it. That allowed crews to follow Tutu for the next 2 days and slowly cut away the gear. By Saturday, rescuers reported the animal was free. The team says if it hadn't removed the gear, the humpback would have died.
It impacts their ability to forage, and also they get, this animal was definitely had abrasions on its fluke and its kind of peduncle area on the back. So it doesn't, this rope is pretty nasty, this polysteel, so it caused abrasions and injuries, and you can get those infections. Just seeing the last bit of gear, because we knew exactly what was left, and seeing it all there in the kelp bed and the animal off free is unbelievable.
DFO says it's been a busy summer for marine mammal rescues, with the team averaging 2 disentanglements per week. Still ahead, a camper's close encounter with a cougar that was caught on camera. Plus,
who hasn't had a bad picture? We've all felt like Joe a time or two in the past.
Speaking of caught on camera, a billy goat gets snapped looking a little silly, and people can't get enough of it. Take a look at this. It's coming up.
Is that enough to kill a monster?
What makes you think I kill monsters?
You seem like you killed all the things.
Mads Mikkelsen plays a hitman who agrees to help his young neighbor slay the monster under her bed. The official trailer for Dust Bunny just dropped, giving us a sneak peek of the feature directorial debut of Brian Fuller, the creator of the TV series Hannibal and Pushing Daisies. Dust Bunny just premiered at TIFF and is slated to hit theaters December 5th. And some of the biggest names in music were in New York last night for the MTV Video Music Awards. Lady Gaga led this year's nominations with a total of 12 and accepted the award for Artist of the Year. Mariah Carey was the winner of this year's Video Vanguard Award. Alex Warren won the Moon Man for Best New Artist, and Sabrina Carpenter won big, scoring Best Album for Short and Sweet. A close encounter between a camper and a cougar is caught on camera as police arrest the suspect in a rock-throwing assault. Plus, the goat goes viral for taking a very unfortunate and relatable photo. We'll take a look at this. Here's CNN's Jeremy Roth.
Watch a camper keep his cool as a wild mountain lion casually strolls right by him in a California state park. Cameras at Leo Carrillo State Park in Malibu captured the close encounter as the lion slowly strode past the man, seemingly unfazed by their close proximity, before another camera angle captured it running off. The man later told KABC he simply tried to stay still when he spotted the lion approaching, which, according to a list posted by the Parks Department of do's and don'ts when encountering a lion, is one of the exact right things to do. The park said no injuries were reported from this surreal sighting of worlds colliding. Another caught-on-cam encounter, this one involving a rock and a hard case. Police in Colorado released video showing what they said was a suspect hurling a 10-pound rock through the window of a police photo enforcement vehicle parked in a school zone. The rock smashed the van's window and, according to Greeley PD, caused a reported $2,600 in damage, but thankfully the technician inside wasn't seriously injured. The suspect was spotted fleeing the scene, but police say he was later apprehended and hit with a slew of charges. One last caught-on-cam moment, this one featuring a face only the internet could love. This is Joe, and this is Joe's big derpy face, which, according to WBAY, has catapulted a Wisconsin zoo to internet infamy after the goofy goat struck a googly-eyed pose that is racking up buku views online. But it hasn't stopped there. Joe's fugly mug is now fodder for memes, making this silly Billy the new poster boy for what you hope you don't look like when the flash goes off.
Who hasn't had a bad picture? We've all felt like Joe a time or two in the past.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Looks like an alien from Star Trek, no?
I feel like Joe.
Yeah, sometimes?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay. We've got more critters now.
Ooh.
Yeah, you could say one Austrian city is dealing with a real moostery after an unexpected visitor showed up and made himself right at home. Emil the moose first appeared nearly 3 weeks ago. This weekend, he was spotted in the city of St. Polten. Now, sightings of the animal have drawn curious onlookers, but wildlife officials are urging people to avoid feeding or approaching him for photos and videos. Moose aren't native to Austria, and they believe Emil came from Poland via the Czech Republic, a well-traveled critter.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did he get there?
He walked.
He walked the whole way. That is
Guessing.
pretty amazing.
Closer to home, we've got a playful duo that stole the show at a golf tournament in Golden this weekend. CTV viewer Garrett Langjan, I hope I'm saying that right, captured video of two black bear cubs wrestling near the 18th hole. The pair, about 2 years old, are believed to have been born on or near the course. Maybe they're excellent golfers.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, sticking with wildlife, a whale of a tale in the Sutil channel. Thanks, Brian, and we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow.